the young and the restless spoilers. Daniel's heart raced as he stood alone in his dimly lit living room, the silence punctuated only by the soft ticking of the clock on the wall. He had always been a grounded, rational man, but recent events were making him question everything he thought he knew. There were moments, brief, almost imperceptible, when he felt an undeniable presence. His late wife, Heather. He could sense her, hovering at the edges of his awareness, her gaze lingering just beyond his line of sight, her warmth somehow woven into the air he breathed. But he dared not speak of this to anyone. Daniel feared that people would dismiss his experiences as the ravings of a grief-stricken mind. He worried that his friends and family would look at him with pity, perhaps whispering that he'd finally lost his grip on reality. And so he kept it all to himself, burying his suspicions and hoping that these visitations would fade with time. But as the days passed, the sensations only grew stronger. One night, he noticed something odd. His house, usually cluttered and messy since Heather's passing, was spotless. The dishes were scrubbed, the furniture was polished, and everything was in perfect order. Heather had always been meticulous, taking pride in keeping their home clean and organized. But their daughter, Lucy, was not one to pick up a broom or dustpan. She was young, too carefree to bother with household chores. So who had been tidying up? Could it be that someone was secretly helping, or was it Heather? Daniel tried to ignore these thoughts, convincing himself it was simply his imagination playing tricks. But the cleaning continued, and with each passing day, he grew more convinced that Heather was indeed there, somehow lingering in their home. Still, he wrestled with doubt. Perhaps his mind, desperate for some semblance of her presence, was constructing this illusion. He was torn between the comfort her presence brought him and the chilling uncertainty of its origin. One evening, as he sat alone in the dark, something unimaginable happened. The shadows seemed to deepen, and a figure emerged, familiar, yet hauntingly different. Heather stood before him, her face pale and drained of life, her eyes hollow but fixed intently upon him. A shiver ran down his spine, but he couldn't look away. She was there, right in front of him, in the flesh, or something like it. It wasn't the warm, vibrant Heather he remembered. This version of her seemed distant, as if trapped between worlds, held back by something unresolved. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice a soft echo that seemed to reverberate through the room. Daniel's voice trembled as he responded. "Heather, is it really you?" They talked for what felt like hours, though time seemed to lose all meaning. His heart ached as he poured out everything he had bottled up since her passing. He told her how much he missed her, how empty life felt without her. He confessed that he'd do anything to have her back, that he couldn't fathom a world where she didn't exist by his side. "I never hurt you, Heather. I need you to know that," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "I love you more than anything, and I always will." Heather's expression softened for a brief moment, but a shadow crossed her face. "Sharon," she whispered, almost as if to herself, a flicker of resentment gleaming in her otherwise lifeless eyes. "She has to answer for what she's done." Daniel stiffened, his mind reeling. Sharon? The name stirred a dark corner of his memory, bringing back unsettling thoughts. Sharon had been a friend once, or so he'd thought. But as he delved deeper into his mind, fragmented memories surfaced, hinting at secrets he had long chosen to ignore. Sharon had been manipulative, deceitful, and capable of things he'd refused to acknowledge. Heather had tried to warn him, but he hadn't listened, or perhaps he hadn't wanted to see the truth. A deep sense of dread settled over him. Was it possible that Sharon had played a role in Heather's untimely death? Could it be that Heather was back not out of love or longing, but because she sought retribution? And if so, what did that mean for him? His pulse quickened as he realized that Heather's visit was not just a reunion, it was a harbinger, a warning that things were far from over. The image of Heather grew fainter, her form slipping away into the shadows once more. But her message lingered, heavy and unyielding. She would not rest until Sharon faced justice, until every hidden truth was exposed. Daniel was left alone, grappling with his own guilt, his own complicity in ignoring the signs that had once been so clear. As he sat there, the weight of Heather's presence faded, leaving a chill that seeped into the very bones of the house. Daniel knew that he couldn't ignore this any longer. He had to uncover the truth, no matter the cost.